did play David Bowie in a sketch show once. That was pretty cool. And someone told me that he had seen the sketch as well and liked it.
Wow.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Should be dynamite in the sack.
She might be a bit selfish though.
Well, she's going to try, isn't she?
She's a trier. God loves a trier.
Yeah.
Or a goat-legged man, that was saying.
Goat-legged man
Slash.
sounds so cool.
Yeah, Mr.
Pan, is that a
Thomas.
pan? Yeah, that's right.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
In past lives, I keep saying, my beloved.
If you are reincarnated, it's because there's something you are missing.
I always think I am missing something.
Is it your dildool, mistress? For I found it under the bed.
It is not mine.
Alice, I'm really curious to know what the inspiration was for this brilliant concept.
Probably a little bit of life, you know, like being someone who's a little bit obsessive themselves and loving fantasy. I love fantasy films and I always want more of them. And I love a dark character and maybe slightly on the illegal side of a character. And I don't know, it was my second film. I was writing it a long time ago, 7 years ago actually, and I just thought I might never get to make another film. How do I put everything that I like into one film? And I thought reincarnation and lots of lives in one film, which is it's a bit like what being an actor is anyway, or any sort of creative industry. It's sort of like you die many deaths and you have to sort of get back up and try and do it again. So yeah, there's a lot of different stuff over 7 years that went into this film.
Yeah, absolutely. And what drew both of you to the project as well?
I've got 3 kids, baby. No, I mean, I think the character, when you read a character like George, and it's fun to be a monster, it's fun to play a monster, and there was a whole table full of food and they said you can eat all you want, and I was like, yeah, because the food on set was kind of bad, but that was a good day, that was a nice day. I got to eat a pigeon, which was nice.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, I mean, George is a horrible lunatic on paper, but if you were to dig deeper, you'd see that he's a broken little child, and that is kind of nice for an actor to know how he has become a monster, you know. And I think in being him, perhaps an audience shouldn't feel sorry for George at the end, but if I've done my job well, then you probably will a little bit, you know. And I kind of like the fact that even a monster like George can be redeemed to a small extent.
Yeah, for me it was really, really drawn to working with Alice because I really like you and like what you do, and so to work with Alice was wicked. Nick,
Not so much.
They've got history.
Yeah.
Swings and roundabouts.
Tanya was great as well. That's about it, really, though. And no, I felt like every character in this genuinely had like a flawed part to them, and I love characters which are, complex in that sense. That there's so much more going on than maybe you initially think. And with Alex, I just felt like he's so complex in lots of the different periods as well, and he's searching for something that he doesn't have the answer for. So playing with that is a lot of fun, and you can really kind of mess about and have fun with, a person in that sense. And that really drew me in. I felt like I could do something that maybe I hadn't done before.
Yeah, definitely. And you can definitely feel the ambiguity even at the end, that you're not quite sure if Alice's version of events are true or not. And I loved that Alex is both kind of the muse of Agnes's obsession, but he's also definitely not a passive player in this toxic relationship. How do you think that Alex actually feels about Agnes, and do you think that changes over time?
I think he thinks she's nuts, but there's something about her that's attractive. There's something about this possessive, strong woman who's very odd, but there's something really kind of attractive about that. So he kind of doesn't want to fancy her, but kind of does, and she's useful sometimes. You can use her to get what he wants out of situations. So he uses her and to manipulate for his own benefit. So I don't I wouldn't say he would want to marry her. I think he'd have a fling, you know, now and again through different periods, depending if there was no other women about. And he'd be on his merry way, you know, looking for the next woman to take advantage of.
I always thought there was that kind of narcissistic thing too, where you put up with someone just because you know they fancy you a bit.
Yeah.
It's good for the ego, isn't it?
It's great for the ego.
It's good for the ego.
It's nice to have her about, you know, because it makes him feel good.
Yeah.
But then it's quite annoying as well.
Mad people can be quite convenient sometimes.
Yeah,
because,
they
you know,
can.
like, I mean, that's the thing about Agnes. She is mad and she's very flawed, and she's obviously got a sort of disorder, a sort of fantasy disorder, obsessive disorder. But she does know what she wants. And I think there's something to be envied about that. In a sort of very confusing world, when you know, where you're just like, what are we all doing? You know, difficult things happening in the world. Someone who's just like, I want that. That's quite a relief.
Yeah,
ways,
especially if you're
you know?
like someone like that. And I think Alex is extremely lonely. So when someone puts, you know, that
Puts
in,
value on him.
puts value on you, you kind of get sucked in with that.
I think we also know she'd be dynamite in the sack.
She might be a bit selfish though.
Well, she's going to try, isn't she? She's going
She's
to
a
try.
trier.
She's gonna
God
try.
loves a trier.
Yeah.
Also, Agnes says at one point that she's an incurable romantic, and it really feels like this film is exploring how damaging it can be to be a hopeless romantic, kind of in the face of everything and ignoring the obsessive nature that it kind of evolves into. Do you think anyone could ever be cured, and that they should be cured of being a hopeless romantic?
It's a really good question, and I think the film sort of leaves that open because I know that I'm a bit of a romantic. I don't think you can make independent films and not be a bit of a fantasist, you know, incurable romantic, or be an artist, because it's sort of, you know, really I should just go and get a proper job. But I love it. At the same time, I love fantasy and I love magic and I want Tinkerbell to be real and all of that stuff. But at the same time, I know it's sort of bad for me. It's unhealthy. So I think it's about finding a balance, isn't it? And like, we're in a world where fantasy, fantasy is huge. We're all watching telly and streamers while the world burns, essentially. Sorry to break it to everyone, but you know, it's just about what? But it's just about making sure you're getting a balance of that you're not sort of hiding in fantasy and sort of making sure that you're using it, what you learn through it, applying it to real life, I suppose.
Well, I think, you know, we see it in all walks of life where extreme fantasists with power can do great things or terrible things. You know, you look at the situation the United States is in at the moment. It's one of the greatest fantasies of all time, you know, there. But there are other good people out there that they don't get things done if they don't fantasize about the outcome of something becoming great.
It's exactly that. It sounds all political now, but, you know, idealism is also a form of fantasy. But I do think idealism is really important, you know, and people that believe there could be a better future and all of that stuff. You do need those people, even if it's sort of unrealistic, to sort of keep going, you know. And I love idealism. And I think that's what the film, I wanted to bring that back. I think it is a dark comedy, but there is like glimmers of hope to it, and there's glimmers of sort of magic and beauty, which I think art has to bring that to your life as well sometimes. I think it's sort of, a lot of independent film gets caught up on the depressingness of life, and we've got a very strong tradition of that in Britain, social realism, Ken Loach. I love all of those things. But I was also like, what about a bit of magic, a bit of glitter and fantasy and all of that? And I think you need both those types of people. You need pragmatists and fantasists in the world.
Absolutely. And just a rogue question, but out of all the characters you played before, which one would you want to meet in every lifetime?
I did play David Bowie in a sketch show once. That was pretty cool. And someone told me that he had seen the sketch as well and liked it.
Wow.
That's pretty cool,
big.
isn't it? I don't know even if that's true. He may have hated it, but he apparently...
Never watched it, did he?
No. Well, I had it on good authority that he had seen it, and he was quite. He had like a media team of people that would watch, just see what's current and out there, and would like bring stuff to him. So apparently,
I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah, I'm buffering right now. I don't know. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so I played a guy called Clive Gollings in a film called Paul, and maybe Clive and I could talk about sci-fi.
I love horses, so it'd probably have to be a character that I play
That rides
that
a
rides
horse.
horses, yeah.
Or a centaur.
All that.
You've yet to
I've
be
not, I've not
cast.
done that
You
yet.
should play a fucking
That would be an
centaur.
amazing
Sorry.
centaur.
They say as an actor you should always play a centaur at least once.
Really?
I haven't either.
You need it on your CV.
You haven't made it until you've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a goat-legged man. That was the same.
Don't let man
Slash-
centaur.
Yeah, Mr.
Is that a
Tumnus.
pan? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.